Everyone seems to forget about Cuphead's run-and-gun levels, so I thought we'd give them the spotlight today, by seeing if we can beat them backwards. Now, there's only 6 of these levels in the entire game, so it's not a lot to play, but you'd be surprised how strange the game acts when played backwards. FCMakes put this mod together for me, so a huge thank you to him, and he's also been working on a Devilish Cheats mod, which has a ton of new features for Cuphead. All he's done here is swap the spawn point and end point and nothing else. So we start off in Forest Follies, and immediately the camera starts panning all the way to the end. Modding Cuphead isn't very common, so things like adjusting the starting camera isn't as easy to implement as you'd think. As you see here, I can run all the way to the end as if this is completely normal. I decided to play this first level with a new save file just for the heck of it, and also went for all the gold coins. This acorn maker has an awfully bad day since he isn't able to turn his machine around, and the acorns aren't very fast, so after defeating him, we're at our very first wall. We can't even come close to jumping it, and the pink butterfly is too high up to parry off of. Thankfully, we can jump off this cliff to save the day, because in Cuphead, pits bounce you up into the air, and it's just barely high enough to get up top. At this point, it just came down to avoiding a bunch of enemies, and I don't know why this was the case, but they got overwhelming at some points. It seemed like the enemies were spawning way more frequently than they normally do, and I didn't have a good weapon. So after dying a couple times and getting used to the level, I got through it. Next up is Treetop Trouble. After taking out the mosquito, I had to jump across the leaves, and it's slightly more difficult, seeing as they're lined up kind of awkwardly. It felt good to destroy the stupid trees that have trolled me in the past, but then I ran into a weird dilemma. If I fell too quickly, I would actually take damage since the game would register this empty floor as a death box. So what I had to do was very carefully drop down on the moving wooden platforms. Most of the time, I wouldn't take damage since there was something close enough that I could land on. But it was still easy to get attacked by the trees since it was impossible to see the spike balls they randomly spat out. When getting to the bottom, you basically just have to avoid the woodpecker's beak. The other bouncing enemies do come in, but they're very slow and you can just use the crack shot to hit them. Get past that and you're set sailing. Following that was Funfair Fever, and this one has our hot dog friend just kind of hanging out. After defeating him, he explodes and remains on the screen until the eventual entropy of the universe. Because he's gone, we don't have to worry about condiments flying at us, which is nice, so the snacks and treats section is pretty easy. After taking out the lottery machine fella, we finally ran into a wall that I couldn't jump high enough to get across and without a floor to boost me up. So by complete accident, I made my own pit. While running up these steps and dashing across, I managed to trick the game into thinking there was a death floor which launched me high enough to clear this jump. I ended up dying on this attempt, but wow, I can't believe that even happened. So I switched to Ms. Chalice, seeing as she has a slightly better jump, and was able to clear this level much more easily with her. Once again, the level was much more basic because I kept killing enemies that would normally spawn projectiles at me from a distance. So it was mostly just running across and getting to the end. When I finished this, I noticed the balloons randomly appeared and chased me, which I guess means that they're normally activated when your character starts at the very beginning. But moving on to Funhouse Frazzle, it was by far the easiest level to complete. For whatever reason, the green and white walls were already defeated before I even got to them. I think this happens because the game probably registers that I already defeated them since I technically spawned behind both of them, but that's just a theory, I don't know for certain. And even weirder, when finishing the level, the ducks and cars finally show up to attack. Yeah, you guys are a little late to the party. Sorry you missed out on cake. Now, Rugged Ridge was my first somewhat difficult level, but at least I don't have to worry about the Cyclops. These jumps are already difficult normally, but they're much trickier backwards since they're so narrow and spaced out. I found it really funny how once I got across that the Cyclops was somehow still spying on me, as if he didn't fall to his death just 30 seconds ago. I can't attack this wall from behind, but Miss Chalice is able to just barely climb up top and finish the job. But you may recall that in Rugged Ridge, there's a part where this platform slides down a hill, and I kind of don't have access to that, so with only 1 HP, I didn't come even close to getting across. Because the platform isn't here, you can see the background set pieces floating in the air, and now I kind of want to play the whole game with invisible platforms just to see these. So I tried this level again, but with Cuphead, Jimmy's extra hearts, and the Heart Ring charm, and that's when I realized how useless Cuphead's jumps are. All the extra hearts I gained are drained because Cuphead can't utilize horizontal distance very well. So I switched back to Ms. Chalice, played through the Cyclops part perfectly, perfectly and got to the scary pit of nothing. With 8 HP, I just went for it by jumping, dashing, taking a hit, and repeating. And to my surprise, I got to the other side while only taking 2 hits. So this moving platform must be some sort of illusion, while the actual map distance is fairly short. I didn't have much trouble at this point, which leads us to our final level. And that is Perilous Piers. For whatever reason, I was taking hits while waiting for the camera to catch up to me, and I can't explain why this was happening. There was nothing I could do to avoid it, unfortunately. Also, this level normally has us parrying off this octopus the whole way, and we don't have access to that. So, can we even get across? Oh my god, only 1 HP to spare. You could say that I was tiptoeing my way through the rest of this pier, because I did not want to die after getting so close to failure. But with that, we can confirm that it is possible to beat Cuphead while playing backwards. But what about the boss fights? Well, the problem with making them backwards, or should I say reversing their phases, would be really hard to do. Each phase is animated very specifically, plus there's moving backgrounds and stuff, so doing this would be really difficult. However, I talked to FCMakes about this, and we decided to try to do this with one of the simpler bosses, Cagney Carnation. Surprisingly, the animation doesn't look janky at all because Plant Boy is always in the same spot. He starts off in his 3rd phase, and once you get to the next phase, that's when it gets a little jarring. And that's really about it. Again, we picked a very simple boss. If you'd like to see all the bosses done, just let me know down below. And that is basically it. You can watch all 6 of these levels uncut without commentary in the card right here. And with that, thanks for watching.